information pursuant to Chapter 115C, Article 21A of the North Carolina General Statutes, and pursuant to NCGS 143-13.11A3, to consult with an attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, good evening. Welcome to the October Board of Education meeting. We appreciate having a room full of people here with us tonight. Let's officially call this meeting to order.
Okay, as we do the invocation tonight, I would like for us all to be thinking about the victims in Las Vegas, in Puerto Rico, in Texas, in Florida, and everywhere. We all are humans. We breathe the same air. We have the same problems, and just be mindful of that. We are thankful for this day that you have given us, for its blessings, its opportunities, its challenges. May we appreciate and use each day that comes to us. We pray for strength and guidance for each day as it comes, for each day's duties, for each day's problems. May we be challenged to give our very best always, and may we be constantly assured of your presence with us. Amen.
And we will now receive Piedmont High School's Junior ROTC. If you will come forward for the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone please stand.
Color guard, and foot. Carry colors. Forward, right. Color guard, halt. Post, colors. Present, arms.
If you could now join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms. Post. Forward, arch. Forward, arch.
And if Dr. Tyson would come forward to accept these on behalf of your outstanding students. This is for you and your school. And there should be one for each student. And if you would please present them with this from the board. Okay.
Thank you very much. Great day.
And that brings us to approval of the agenda.
Madam Chairman, I have one proposed change to the agenda. I would like to remove from the consent agenda item H, state bus driver salary increase plan, and place that at the pleasure of the chair. And if you could just rename it finance report and include it in under that.
Anything else? Okay, I recommend that we move the finance update to include H after number 15, school improvement plans. We'll have a finance update to discuss state bus driver salary increase plan.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And now if board members will come around to the front, we will have the John H. Crowder Service Award.
Each month, we recognize a high school student with the John H. Crowder Service Award for community service. This award is a living tribute to the late John H. Crowder, who spent more than 30 years serving the children of Union County. In order to receive this award, students must not only be academically successful, but also have established a history of community service in one more service area. Tonight, we award the John H. Crowder Service Award to a very special student at Weddington High School. Will Katie DeVille please come forward? Katie is a junior at Weddington High School. As a sophomore, Katie served as the coordinator of community service for Weddington High's DECA Club, which also won the Diamond Award for community service and its leadership that same year. This year, Katie is now president of the DECA Club and helps to drive the chapter's commitment to community service. In addition to leading her school's DECA Club, Katie also enjoys volunteering her spare time. With a heart of serving children who are afflicted with medical hardships, especially children, Katie often spends her time volunteering at the Levine Children's Hospital. Thank you. The Board of Education is very proud to recognize Katie as the board recipient of the John H. Crowder Service Award. Congratulations, Katie.
The Union County Public Schools Employee of the Month Award recognizes employees in a non-teacher, non-certified position. It was created to honor those who have exemplary work and performance, those who promote positive morale, or possibly those who demonstrate initiatives and creativity that improve the operating efficiency of their department or district. Individuals can be nominated on their performance, their customer service, or an individual incident that merits commendation. Our October recipient is Kay Rowland, Administrative Assistant to the Superintendent of Instructional Programs. Assistant Superintendent Dr. John Jones will now come forward to introduce our recipient.
Hello. I think I saw you earlier today. Yeah. For 26 years, first in Monroe City Schools and then Union County Public Schools, Kay Rowland has served as an outstanding, highly reliable, and motivated employee, and she exhibits great competence and timeliness in performing her job. Kay not only executes her duties efficiently and with grace, but also routinely takes initiative to seek the most appropriate methods to accomplish her tasks. She always leads by example and is able to accomplish all of her work with a positive attitude. Despite the fact that we have an extremely demanding division in terms of high performance, expectations, and workload, her inspirational attitude and great sense of humor makes our part of Central Services an inviting place in which to work. Having served in Central Services for over 25 years, including the administrative assistant to 2 former superintendents, Kay's long-term knowledge of our school system leadership practices, understanding of our commitment to the students and families of the school system, and administrative abilities are only overshadowed by her dedication to the total commitment of Union County Public Schools and her love for the community. She's an invaluable resource for our division as she helps keep operations moving, and my focus centered upon our stakeholders, our students, teachers, and families of Union County Public Schools. Kay Rowland embodies the importance of legacy that is needed within an ever-changing school system. Her loyalty, Her servitude and commitment to our central work have helped to establish a heritage of care for what Union County is known for. Also recognized in the audience, Kay's husband, Jeff, who's with us, her son, Brett, her daughter, Brandy, couldn't be with us. And Kay also had 2 grandbabies in the past year. So congratulations, Nana. Absolutely. I have to read a proclamation here, and then. Whereas the Union County Board of Education values the hard work of each employee within the district, whereas performance is an essential part of the district operations, whereas Kay Rowland exemplifies the performance, dedication, and teamwork essential to the success of the district and students. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Education of Union County Public Schools, and Dr. Andrew G. Houlihan, Superintendent, hereby proclaim Kay Rowland as the Employee of the Month of October 2017. Congratulations.
Good evening. We are honored to recognize a group of athletes tonight who have gone on to become state champions. To perform a sport better than anyone else in the state is quite an accomplishment. I'd like to congratulate the Parkwood High School softball state champions. Coach Tim Speakman will now come forward to recognize his team members.
First, I want to thank Dr. Houlihan and board members for allowing us to come here tonight. I feel very honored that you included us in your meeting tonight to recognize these fine young ladies. I want to first introduce, when I first introduced our coaches, one of the things when I first came here, I just literally moved here a year ago, and I came here from Florida, and we chose this county for a reason. And one of the reasons was education. I've been an educator for over 30 years, and one of the most important things, as parents know, it's important as to where you take your children and where they're at, and their education is the most important thing. We can win state championships, but as our girls know, and they found out this year, that their education is more important than winning state championships. And we chose Union County because of the education and because of the pride that you guys have in this county. And we appreciate that. And that's one of the reasons that we are here. I could not, without a doubt, have done any of this, and these girls could not accomplish this without the help of Coach Garner and the support of Nelson Garner, our athletic director, as well as Miss Allie. And I mean this sincerely. And I've been in the education system for a long time, 2 of the most supportive administrators that I've ever been around. And we could not have done the things that we did if we did not get the support that we got. And I can't thank you guys enough from the bottom of my heart. You guys are a big part of us being successful this year. With that said, I want to introduce 2 of the most important people in this program, my assistant coaches. And I want to start with Miss Mary Catherine Hughes, who is one of my assistants. You can come on up, Mary. She didn't realize I was going to say her middle name, but I had to. All right. She couldn't have done it without her. She came up and helped us so much this year. My other assistant coach, Toby Ruth, if you could come up, please. One of the things these 2 helped me out so much with some of the major things. Mary helped me out so much with just the girl talk. It's as you know, I've coached both sports, football as well as softball, and she did a great job in helping me out with the girl talk throughout the season. So I can't thank you enough. I feel blessed that they've helped me. So I thank both of you. All right. And now as we come up, and you guys go ahead and shake their hands, I'm going to call girls up in order here. Miss Sarah Harkins. Yep, you go ahead. Next young lady, Taylor Bright. Miss Allie Griffin. Miss Amber Parker. Miss Emily Jervelin. Miss Natalie Ruth. Miss Caroline Ruth. Miss Emily Crook. Miss Morgan Jervelin. Miss Mary Pierce Barnes. Miss Courtney Briggs. Miss Sarah McManus. Miss Jenna Whelan. I do also, we have a few other players that are not here tonight because they are college bound, and a couple others had basketball practice tonight, but I have to introduce them. And Courtney Fink, who will be with us again next year. She was at basketball today. Miss Chloe Hardy as well. She also was at basketball, and she will be back. Miss Amber Briggs, who is in college right now. Miss Taylor Belk, also in college right now. And Miss Peyton Yetter, who also had basketball practice tonight. And Miss Bailey Morton. I had to introduce them as well. I know they're not here tonight, but I also want to end this by saying that I can't thank the parents enough for their support as well, because we wouldn't have done it. They know at the beginning of the year when I came in, I told them that I was going to be tough on them, that I was going to be fair, but as long as they did 4 things for me, as long as they took care of their academics, as long as they showed up on time to everything, they came to work every day and gave me a great effort and treated people with kindness, that we were going to be successful. And no matter whether we won a state championship or not. And that's part of what we do here in education, is to make sure that our young individuals are successful, not just in sports, but in life. And I thank you again for that. And then Dr. Houlihan, we have something for you today. We are presenting him a state championship ring.
And Dr. Houlihan and board members, that concludes our recognitions for tonight. Thank you.
Okay, board, that brings us to academic program highlights with Dr. Jones.
Good evening again, board members, Dr. Houlihan. It's our pleasure tonight to discuss one of the very busy areas in the school system. We all have lots of tasks, but if I put a sign on this director's door, it would say no boredom here, as Jessica Garner has joined us with a full agenda in goals and objectives and improving college readiness and our goals for our students in the upcoming year. She has hit the ground running. Just a few of the initiatives that she continues to work with: our SAT, our PSAT testing, which are providing our students. You, of course, see that on the website. We got that information that's up. Our information to our parents for our FAFSA, that is being pushed out. We have some academic nights that will be going to schools and sharing information not only about our Empowered Ed program and innovation, but also the FAFSA process. Ms. Gardner is also working with innovation and meeting with many partnerships You'll hear more about Naviance tonight. We actually have the training that is off the ground and have had training for our counselors, for our administrators, and putting goals into place, information that will be shared later, academic signing initiatives, and then, of course, advanced placement. And all of this, Ms. Gardner wants to make sure we do it right because it's new focus. So she wants to make sure that she continues the Union County way of implementation that is spot on. So tonight we want to share a little bit about AP. Do you have anything you would like to say? Okay. And of course, this follows the emphasis our superintendent has placed upon curriculum and instruction and making sure that we have assessments and opportunities that focus upon that college footprint. And so AP is a big part of that. And I'm going to ask Ms. Garner to come and share just a few minutes of our efforts and our progress that are an extension of the superintendent's vision in supporting our students. So Ms. Garner, if you'll come forward.
Thank you. I am excited to share a little bit about our enrollment with you this evening. So I'm just going to go through a few highlights and then I can answer some questions if you have those. First, I want to highlight our participation. This is one of the things that Dr. Houlihan has really been working with principals on to make sure that we give access to more of our students. So our overall district participation in advanced placement has increased by 7.7% over just last year. We have had an increase not only in the number of students taking AP courses, but also in the number of high schools offering at least 10 courses. So, you know, all 10 of our high schools now offer at least 10 advanced placement courses across the board. And 7 of them have added 1 additional AP course this year over last year. One of the things that sometimes you'll see with participation increasing is you'll see the performance rate go down a little bit because as you expand access to more students and give them more opportunities, sometimes that happens. I'm excited to say in Union County that while we did increase the number of exams taken, we also increased the number of exams where students were receiving a score of 3, 4, or 5. So we had a 3.5% increase over the number of exams with scores of 3 or better, which is usually kind of the threshold for where colleges will give students those college credits. It's very dependent upon the college whether they give credit for 3, a 4, or a 5, so it's really tough to track how many credits our students earned, but we can say that that we had, you know, almost 3,000 exams that were of a passing grade. And so what I've done for you on the next 2 slides, and I'll kind of just talk through this, is you can see the number of, both the number of classes from 2016-17 to this current school year, as well as the total number of students enrolled in advanced placement classes at each of our high schools. So you can see that we've had a tick upwards in the number of classes. And in the case of Marvin Ridge, they are down a few different courses that they offer, but their total enrollment is up. So across the board, if you look at those numbers, everyone's enrollment has increased. I'll give you just a second to take a look at that. Okay. Same goes with the last 5 schools. Again, you can see not only an increase in the number of courses that are being offered, but also in the number of students. Okay, and even in schools, you know, Weddington is still offering 17 courses, but they have an increase in the number of students taking those courses. So we're increasing our access. A couple of things to note, you know, some of our schools doubled enrollment in 1 or 2 courses. Sometimes you'll see a school that will offer AP biology 1 year, and then they won't offer it the next year because those students will move on to AP chemistry. So they'll kind of, depending on the population of students and the licensure of the teachers, they may offer AP biology 1 year, AP chemistry the next year for that student demand as they progress through. So sometimes that's why you'll see a drop in the number of courses. We do have a couple of special programs with advanced placement in our schools that I'm very proud of. Monroe has the AP Capstone program. We also have an advanced placement academy of sorts at Sun Valley that encourages students to start from 9th grade taking advanced placement courses. We have Marvin Ridge High School offering AP macro and microeconomics. They're the only school doing that. We also have Cuthbertson is the only school offering AP art history. So we've got a lot of great things going on. Parkwood has expanded this year. They're offering the 2nd AP calculus. So AP calculus AB last year, and they've expanded that to BC. So just some positive trends you can see in our schools with what they're doing. This is going to continue to be a focus for my office. We are looking into the possibility of some pre-AP. College Board is just launching that for next year, and so we're looking at that as a possibility. But we're also continuing to try to increase our enrollment. And working with our principals and our counselors this year, we'll be looking at some ways to do creative scheduling for them. You know, one of the pieces with advanced placement, you have to be careful that as you increase enrollment in your advanced placement courses, sometimes those numbers in those individual courses can be small. So we're going to be looking at creative ways that doesn't impact the non-AP courses. So, you know, a couple of different ideas here with pairing advanced placement courses. We're going to be looking at the potential for a program called Blended Reach that we'll be kind of exploring this year and looking at for a possibility. We're also going to be working with counselors to do presentations to students on the benefits of taking advanced placement courses during the registration period. And then hopefully, you know, as parents are holding meetings with counselors, we'll be there to help provide information for the parents. And as far as continuing to support our advanced placement teachers, each school is going to identify someone who will work with advanced placement. This could be a lead teacher, it might be an assistant principal, it might be a counselor, but each school is working to identify a lead that will be the liaison between my office and their school. And we are going to begin hosting virtual professional learning community meetings in Canvas for those teachers, because a lot of times, if you're the advanced placement biology teacher, you may be the only one at your school. And so having that professional learning community in the school building is usually not an option. So we'll be looking at hosting some of that in Canvas so that they can meet asynchronously and share discussion items. Those groups will also be working to put together a district-wide syllabus. Each year with the advanced placement, you have to certify your course with AP. You have to recertify each year, and then there's an initial process that you have to go through. So right now, our teachers individually put their syllabus together, and then they send that in each year to recertify with advanced placement. So one of the things that this virtual PLC will work on is coming together so that all of our AP biology teachers send the same syllabus. They're working pretty much from the same standards and pacing guide, but really to have one unified syllabus that they can all send in. So that'll be part of the work of that virtual PLC that's going to happen this year. We're looking at the potential of half-day planning once each semester for those teachers to come together face-to-face, so that they can have that opportunity to work together. And then we'll launch those virtual PLC meetings from that face-to-face. And then looking for this summer to do an advanced placement summit where our teachers will actually present to their peers across the district. And we're looking at partnering with at least one other district we've had interest from that would like to work with us so that AP biology teachers, AP chemistry, calculus teachers from across the region could come together. And we may possibly even work with the Southwest Education Alliance to allow them to bring some of that collaboration across the region together. So those are the ways that we are increasing enrollment. We are supporting our teachers, and just going to continue to push our students to get those opportunities while they're in high school to earn some college credit. I will entertain any questions that you may have at this time.
I have a question. Can you explain to me the academy, the AP Academy at Sun Valley High School? Okay.
I'd like to do that. This is one that I think, and I've talked to our high school principals about, that I really think should be in place in every one of our high schools next year. What this academy is about is essentially marketing kind of an AP experience for your 9th grade students and marketing that when they're in middle school and letting them know. And the idea philosophically is in 9th grade, you take one AP class. In 10th grade, you take one. In 11th, you take two. And in 12th, you take two. Some kind of configuration of that. But you're committing to taking an advanced placement class, one or more, every year of your high school. And the leadership part of this is around community service. So it's paired with, you have to have a certain number of hours of community service, leadership hours coupled with rigor of AP. And they've called this the A+, the Advanced Placement Leadership and Service Academy. That's just kind of their brand, I guess, and what they've called it. Last year was the first year they started doing this. And it's one of those things that I think is really tremendous, and looking at kind of this idea of AP for all. When you graduate, they did have some seniors that went through part of this last year, and they got like a gold medallion that was part of their regalia when they had graduation. So it's really stemmed from a grassroots effort with those teachers. It's not an academy in the sense that other kids can go to it, like our CTE academies. It's more just like an internal, that's just what they call this kind of program. Sun Valley High School and Monroe Middle School are our only two high schools that have what are called college readiness advisors. You have counselors and then a college readiness advisor, and that came to us through a grant several years ago with the Belk Foundation, I believe, and that it kind of stemmed from that office.
Thank you. I want to commend you because the increased enrollment in AP classes and the increased offerings is just amazing. It's good to see that, you put it out there for them and they're taking it. So thank you very much for all your work that went into that.
What exactly is the AP Capstone?
So the AP Capstone is a series of courses that students take that is a brand within advanced placement. It includes some research and seminar courses, and it's you come out with the Capstone title.
Okay, similar like a master's program, or not really?
I'll let you.
And to give you the historical perspective, Mr. Brad Breedlove was the principal at Monroe High School before he moved into the director's position, and he initiated the work on this. This is something that comes from the school level, and he began that. Dr. Harvey continued it. So that's something that the teachers and the staff there, they've put into action.
Ms. Garner, you mentioned, there was a couple things you mentioned that I want to ask a question about to try to prepare myself. These 4 half-day planning periods that you wanting to get these leaders together on, would this be on days that we have half days of school?
They will not. And so it's just one per semester, so just 2 during the year. And we would look at paying for a sub for half a day for those teachers. And we'll probably start with a couple of courses to do that.
Okay. Does an AP teacher get any additional stipend?
No.
Do these responsible parties, you were talking about one at each school?
No, that'll just be somebody that I would communicate with. Most schools will probably designate a counselor or an assistant principal that would just be my main contact, just so that there's a consistent person that we can say, who do we know is kind of taking the lead on anything that comes through our office that's advanced placement, so that I'm not just kind of throwing it out there and everybody looks at everybody else and says, who's going to take the lead? This is the person that will say to the counselors, to whomever needs the information, they're just going to be the main liaison, the communicator.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that brings us to the open session meeting minutes for approval for September 3rd, 2017.
I move that we approve the open meeting minutes for September 3rd, 2017.
A second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And now the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. And now we'll have the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We are pleased to let you all know that the month of October is National Principals Month. And I want to say a big thank you to all of our school leaders, to our principals in particular. We have some of the most dynamic, exceptional group of school leaders and administrators. And so to the public, if you'll please give a big pat on the back and a kudos to your child's principal. They do a lot for their schools, and I just want to say very publicly, thank you for their leadership. We have announced our 2017-18 Principal of the Year finalist. We did that last Friday, and Monday actually showed up at their schools unannounced and made a big deal about it. It was a lot of fun. And I am pleased to announce that the following individuals are our finalists: Dr. Candace Boatwright from Benton Heights Elementary, Donna Cook from Marvin High School, Kathy Perry from Newtown Elementary, Dr. Bashan Harris from Porter Ridge High, Teresa Benson from Sardis Elementary, Laura Gaddy from Stallings Elementary, Dr. Sharon Von Cannon from Unionville Elementary, Dr. Jay Jones from Weddington High School, Marcus Leak from Weddington Middle School, and Christy Williford from Western Union Elementary. So I want to say congratulations to our finalists. We will make an announcement at the principals meeting in terms of the winner, which is next Thursday, October the 12th. Also, I'm pleased to let the public and the board know that we have some really exciting historical news. Last week, we received information from the United States Department of Education letting us know that Union County Public Schools received a $27 million grant. That's part of the DOE's Teacher and School Leader Incentive Program, or TSL. We are one of 14 school systems nationwide to receive this grant, and we are the only school system in North Carolina to receive it. As I understand it, this is the largest grant amount we have received in recent years. This funding will provide funding to support training, to reward excellent teachers and school leaders across our 13 high priority schools. And I want to say a big thank you, kudos, job well done to Dr. John Jones, the entire teaching and learning team that was responsible for putting in the application. The lead was Dr. Laurel Healy, if you'll wave. Phenomenal job and wonderful amount of resources that will be coming our way. It's a 3-year grant, $27 million total, with the opportunity to apply for an extension for 2 more. So in all, when it's all said and done, hopefully about $45 million. I also want to give a big shout out to 15 of our schools for receiving state recognition for the PBIS systems. These are schools that were selected for state recognition from completed team trainings, implemented positive behavior intervention support strategies, and performed well on school-wide evaluations. They will be recognized by the Department of Public Instruction in November. The Green Ribbon Award winners are Fairview Elementary, Western Union Elementary, Waxhaw Elementary, Sardis Elementary, Porter Ridge Elementary, Marshville Elementary, Sun Valley Middle School, Piedmont Middle School, Parkwood Middle, East Union Middle School, Monroe Middle School, and South Providence. Our model schools are Union Elementary and Shiloh Elementary, and the exemplar school, which is the highest designation, is Indian Trail. So congratulations to the students and staff of those schools. Dr. Jones mentioned Naviance, the teaching and learning department. We are still rolling that out. That was part of our budget to focus on college and career readiness. As you heard Dr. Jones earlier say, that just last week we had a training for our school staff, high school principals, lead counselors, all middle and high school students. If they haven't received, should be receiving in the coming, it's ready days, weeks, their account information. And once students have that information, they can go on and click on Naviance off of their startup page, and they'll be guided to their accounts. We are sending letters home to parents with codes for Naviance in the coming weeks. And the PSAT, as a reminder, I've had questions on this. The PSAT and SAT that's coming, the PSAT is coming up October the 11th. That is of no charge to students. That is part of our budget. And if parents have questions about any of that, please contact your school principal or your guidance counselor. But we did want to make sure, we've had some questions about it. And hopefully in the coming weeks, you'll see more information about that if you're a parent. Speaking of that, we have some new opportunities for parents to get involved and get engaged with helping their students with learning. We are going to be having our technology family night and FAFSA information sessions. We're going to have 4 of those this month to really help parents learn about the new FAFSA application process, what has to be done. It is very extensive. SPCC will be partnering with us on this. They actually have a bus that I believe will be going to these 4 locations to help. Information is on our website. The first session is this Monday, October 9th at Porter Ridge High School. All of the sessions start at 6:30. And I want to make sure I'm clear with this, Dr. Jones. You do not have to be if I live in a different part of my kids don't go to Porter Ridge. They might go to Piedmont. They might go to Forest Hills. If I wanted to go, I could go. You can come to any one of the 4. Or all 4 if you'd like. But this is really trying to help our parents navigate that process. It is very cumbersome, and we want to make sure we have the support systems in place to do that. Finally, I want to offer my sincere condolences to the families, to the family of Daniel Hester, a Piedmont High student who recently passed away from a tragic car accident, and to the students and staff at that high school. We know that you're going through a tough time, and our condolences and thoughts are with us. If anyone needs support with anything, we're here to provide that assistance. Big kudos to Ms. Gardner and her team. We're very pleased with where we're going with advanced placement. So thank you for your presentation. And that concludes my report.
May I ask a question? Dr. Houlihan, could you elaborate a little bit more on the TSL grant? How, as part of the grant process, how we propose that to be spent? Because some people may be under the misconception that that funding can be used to supplant currently budgeted funds and replace them with these grant funds. So I wonder if you or Dr. Hill or someone involved in the grant process could just give us some broad strokes on how, what programs would be applicable to use these funds for.
So I'll let Dr. Jones or Dr. Healy give more of a deeper detailed lens at this. You cannot use these federal funds to supplant existing resources in your budget. The Department of Education does not allow that. More so, these funds have to be directed, was part of the grant application, have to be directed to specific schools serving kids of poverty. And that's a non-negotiable, just like you would have for like Title I. And so those are the two big stipulations. Do you all want to provide some more
just
information?
To echo what you're saying, and then I'll let Dr. Healy give the specifics. But I would be remiss if I did not say thank you to the Board of Education. Remember back in May, April, June, somewhere in that time, you approved for us to use an agency to help write and help write the grant. We feel that is in partnership made a tremendous difference. And you took an investment in us. So we thank you. Thank you very much. You are a part of that as well. I'll let you give the specific answer.
So one of the things that the grant is intended to do is to help us figure out which incentives, which types of supports best impact student learning, student achievement. And so since we didn't have $9 million laying around to figure that out on our own, we came up with some strategies that we thought would be something we'd be interested in learning about. There are specifically grants for teachers who are highly effective with their students and administrators who are highly effective. There are some activities that would involve helping train our assistant principals and principals to be leaders in schools like that. There are mentor teachers that will be paid at these schools. We have mentor teachers now, but they do not get any compensation for that. So we're wondering, would that be something that would really increase the amount of support that our beginning teachers get? We have master teachers that will be at each of these schools. So we model this after something that's going on at Forest Hills right now. They have several teachers. They took one ADM position and split up those extra planning periods with 4 of their most highly effective teachers. So they teach half a day and they help other teachers half a day. The principals really like that because they don't lose the impact of those teachers on their students, but they gain the benefit of their expertise in helping their young teachers. So different things like that, that we would, again, like to see what we would get the most impact from.
I have a follow-on to Gary's question.
Go ahead. I have one too, but go ahead.
If we use these for funding, for additional funding for teachers or support or whatever it is, or stipends or whatever we use them for, I know that there's an extension after 2 years, but let's assume we get that. And in year 6, how do we pay for those things?
We don't. We know from the get-go it's a 5-year deal at most, and hopefully we would have learned what was really successful. We have done different things with the budget this year, and that might help us decide at that time what we would do moving forward, but it doesn't commit us to doing that moving forward.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Can you use the funds for any capital purchases, equipment or anything like that? It has to be.
There are a few some support things like a couple of digital resources that we use that we wanted to make sure we could sustain for these 5 years to see how impactful they were. So some of those kinds of things, but not capital.
So you can't go out and equip a bunch of classrooms tomorrow with, with the
correct.
funds.
We could not do that.
When would the money actually start to flow? When will we be able to start to implement?
The actual start date for the grant is October 1. So once we actually get the funds, it will kind of, Shauna, be retroactive perhaps back to October 1. We're meeting with some folks this week to get more details about that.
Great.
So October 1 is the start date, and we, I've gotten my password. Ms. McLamb's getting her password so that we can have access to that, and then we have conference calls with the.
So we're talking about an implementation this semester.
Yes, sir, we are.
Outstanding.
Can you share with us some of the schools that will benefit from the grant?
It's all the 9 elementary Title I schools and then our 4 high priority middle and high schools, those 4.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any others?
Dr. Healy, I do. I am, I was very happy. I remember when you made the presentation, I thought, this is about like winning the lottery. Well, we have won the lottery.
Yes,
In
we
other
have.
words, being a teacher, you always think in a perfect world, it'd be nice to have the money to do this and this. So, and we have no better people to do it than you and Dr. Jones and Miss Garner and Casey Rimmer and the rest of the people in the department. But please spend every cent of that like it was coming out of your own pocket, because we can accomplish so much. If we can't do it with this, it probably can't be done. So thank you for all your hard work.
You're
I talked to Dr. Jones today, and I said, who was the tip of the spear? And he said, Dr. Healy.
Thank you. We're excited about the opportunity.
Great.
Yeah, one question I just thought of too.
Okay.
What happens if next year we get one more Title I school? Do we just split the money?
It would be, yes. We talked about, well, we'd have to check with them, but I think there are ways to amend the grant because of changes that occur. We also said, what if all this works and we have so many people who earn these rewards? What would we do if we didn't have enough to fund it? The pot just gets split more ways if that ends up happening. So that'll be in the wording that we pass along to the schools, so they'll know. All right.
Thank you both very much. It was
You're
very
welcome.
exciting news to
Yes, it
receive in
was.
central office
Yes,
the
it
other
was.
day,
We were
in the
pretty
middle of a committee meeting, but we still celebrated. Very excited. Thank you for all your hard work.
You're welcome. You are welcome.
Okay, that brings us to the North Carolina School Board Association. I need some voting delegates. The annual conference is coming up in Greensboro, November 13th and 14th are the primary days. You can go for one day, you can go for both days, and then it closes on the 15th, and it's not really necessary for you to be there, but I need 3 volunteers that would be willing to be a delegate and go vote on the first day. So I see Mrs. Heintel, Mr. Sides, and Mr. Helms. Okay, and I need 1 alternate if you plan on being there. I was gonna give y'all first priority. I will be the alternate because I know someone else is going to be there too. Okay. Okay, so it's changed from last year. We need 4. Okay, so I don't mind being the 4th unless someone else plans on being there and would like to be the 4th delegate. Okay. Okay, I will be the 4th. Do you mind being the alternate? Just in case. Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you, board. And that will bring us to number 14, roof consultant and survey.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. Board members, some time ago, staff was directed to do an RFQ to secure the services of a roofing consultant to perform an audit on the roofs in our school system. We have done that. There's a proposal in front of you tonight from Terracon Consulting to do those services. There are 2 parts of it. The initial part of it is for the services themselves, which is $168,000. Also, there are a couple of options for hosting the web portion of this where we get and keep our data. That's $15,900. And we bring this to you all tonight from Terracon Consulting for a total price of $183,900. I'll be glad to entertain any questions.
At Facilities Committee, we asked you to go back and look at the possibility of using infrared on all the roofs to determine as one more way to take a look at the assessments of all 55 of our roofs.
We talked to Terracon about that, and the prices that they gave us, if we wanted to do all of our roofs, it would be $50,000. We could do the TPO roofs only, for about $14,000. There was also a question about what if we wanted to buy or purchase our own camera, and we found some various prices of anywhere from $9,000 to $15,000 if we bought it ourselves.
But then somebody would have to go do the roof assessments.
We would. One of our roofers would typically get trained on that, and we would self-perform that work.
And as facilities, do you have a recommendation as to that issue or no?
Well, it would be nice to have a camera. It can be used for other things. It can be used, it's a thermal imaging camera. It can be used to look for hot spots in panels and things. So they're pretty versatile. We would like to purchase a camera to have and self-perform some of this at any time.
I would like to point out to the rest of the board, we saved a lot of money because of the investigation we did on Newtown roof, where less than 1% of the roof was actually damaged. And this was shown to us by using infrared technology. So I would ask you to consider having them image all of the roofs, because that will only get us up to date right now.
I agree. As part of the assessment, do it and still buy a thermal imaging camera.
And then buy
to
the
use after
camera
that.
for us to look. And I would like to authorize Mr. Strickland, I would authorize the 15,000, but let him buy the one that he determines to be the best for us to use.
I would say up to 20,000 and then add the 50,000 for thermal imaging to the contract with Terracon.
We'd be more than happy to do that.
And I believe that's all within the budget that we were given this
think it
year,
is.
so under budget.
Right.
So, yes,
I have a
sorry.
question. How often do you recommend a thermal imaging a roof?
Well, first of all, you go and do a visual inspection to see if there's anything to look for. And then obviously leaks inside of the building. So we might thermal image a roof anywhere from 3 to 5 years, depending on the roof, the age of it. Obviously a new roof might require less, but an older one would require more.
So let me see if I understand this correctly. We're proposing to engage the firm services for a roof audit, pay the additional 50,000 for them to do the initial baseline infrared testing, and then up to 20,000 for the purchase of the equipment to do it ourselves from then on.
And if this is the direction you all want to go in, one of the things we might could entertain is if we can go ahead and buy the camera, we could utilize a camera alongside the audit that they're doing, the imaging, learn from them and gather some information on our own in terms of how to use the camera and the results that we get.
So what's the total you need?
Well, it would be
contract plus 50 plus
The
up
total
to 20.
contract would be $233,900 for the contract, and then plus the 20 to buy the thermal imaging camera, which would bring us to $253,900. And I'd like to make a motion to approve that.
I'll second.
But that does not include any roofing repairs. That's
No.
not part of that budget,
Well,
correct?
as part of what we did with the county commissioners this year is we've asked to do a roofing assessment and have somebody come in and do all 55 roofs to tell us where they are, give us recommendations. So that does not include fixing any roofs. It's to do at every school 55 building assessment.
I'd like to add that Terracon has been in business a long time. I've worked with them for a good number of years and have actually worked with Christine Quigley, who's the principal that signed the proposal.
I will say that this came out of facilities committee without knowing the price of doing the thermal imaging. So that's why we went with the second to this.
And we're going with their hosting solution, right?
We are.
And I just want to confirm that this did include the 15,900 for the web services, whatever.
Yes.
That was like total everything.
Yes,
Okay.
168 plus the 15,900 plus the 50,000. And then additional money for the thermal imaging camera for our use as well. And that's a great idea about having people trained while they're going through it.
How many other responsive bids did we have?
I believe we had a total of 3.
As was an RFQ, not an RFP.
Yeah.
So the integrated Excel spreadsheet, that's going to be used to be able to maintain our data going forward?
Right. You know,
So
we
we'll be able to upload to the cloud
right,
with that
right,
tool?
right.
Okay.
And that was one of the advantages of doing that.
Have you already located a place where our employee would go to get this training and certification? Is this local or?
We have
do you-
not.
You have not located a
If
school
we
for
can
training?
move forward with the camera purchase, you know, what I could envision is some of this work could be done using our camera with them training us, and we do it hand in hand and let them take the lead on the initial bunch. But by the time we get done, we would be fluent in how to do the work.
Is this a one shot? How long would this audit take for them to complete on our roofs?
I did not see that in the
What's the question?
September.
How long will it take?
Let's see.
It will take till January. They're saying the report should be done by January
Of
30th.
18th.
And that work will begin October 16th
That's
through
right.
January 15th.
That's pretty fast for 55
Yes.
roofs and pictures too.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
they
then-
would begin this month?
They would begin, they said as long as we
Weather
let them
permitting.
know by the 5th, right away, they could start on the 16th.
Now, note that the initial proposal did not include the work to do the thermal imaging, so it may take slightly longer.
Increase the timeline.
Right.
And then basically they're finished. Is there, and then do we have them come back in other years to update the shape, the condition of the roofs, or is that going to fall on us from then on in?
Well, we could do another audit down the road, but once we get this baseline data, the hope is that it would be something that we could continue to update. And with the addition of the thermal imaging camera, that would provide us additional needed information.
I would think that we wouldn't need another assessment anytime
Mr.
soon if
Sides,
we keep up the database.
As I understand it, this audit is basically putting every roof we have on in the software program. We'll have measurements, dimensions, pitch, type of composition. It's going to become a living document that will outlast this board. And the reason it may take longer to do the infrared imaging, it can only be done at sundown.
Right.
Because when the sun goes down, the wet spots retain their heat and the dry spots cool off very fast. It's amazing to see, but they can only do so many, you know, they have a small window where they can measure roofs all day long. So I'm excited about it. At least we're going to know what we're dealing with.
Yeah. Good investment.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Without any other questions or comments, all those in favor of approving this for 253.9, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, now we will have the school improvement plans with Dr. Jones and Dr. Healy.
Briefly, we'd like to remind you that this is the time of the year that we present our school improvement plans from our schools for board approval during this season. Our schools have already been working with their school improvement goals and objectives this year. This is the second year of the biennium of school improvement plans. When we write school improvement plans, we write them for 2 years. This is the second year, so edits are made this year, as well as any additions. Each of the schools this year will be adding a literacy goal as a part of our focus and instruction on literacy this year, as an extension of the superintendent's program with literacy for you and our goals at the school. So that will be added this year. Dr. Healy's going to go over the calendar with you quickly because there will be a 2-week period in which you will be able to review the school improvement plan edits online. And we will be communicating with you thoroughly during that time so you'll know when they're available. And I'll let her briefly go over that. Hello again.
Hello again. Thank you. This again is the middle year. We are not rewriting the plans. We are only tweaking them, making some modifications, and of course adding the literacy plan that the schools came up with this summer when we had our summer leadership retreat. And so they are in the process of doing that right now. As of October 23rd, they will be posted online. The old one will come down, the new one will go up, and they will be available for you to see there until November the 6th. And then we'll be back on November the 7th to seek your approval for those. Any questions? All right.
Thank you. Okay, now we will have a finance update which will include the item from consent, state bus driver salary increase. Mr. Sides.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The Finance Committee met on Tuesday, September 26th, and it's hard to believe, but we're already talking about putting together our budget timeline and calendar for the next fiscal year. Staff will be working on that. Of course, they do the initial heavy lifting, and then it starts to work through the Finance Committee. We're also planning another joint session in, I believe it was April, wasn't it, Dennis? I don't have that proposed, with the county commissioners, as was our practice last year. And then moving through to a final deadline of May 15th, submission to the county, which I anticipate again this year we will beat. It'll just be a matter of how many days we are early. I think it was the 5th of May, so we'll see if we're going to beat that again this year. The other item, I just wanted to pull the bus driver pay increases off the consent agenda just to clarify for everyone, because there's been some, I want to say, an opportunity to clarify for our transportation employees, our bus drivers, exactly what's happening and when. First of all, we did, at staff's move, which I support 100%, go to a 2 pay per month rather than the 1 pay model. And as you remember, in our last budget, in our operating budget, we added a sum of monies for a pay increase. And then utilizing the state funding, we have actually a 2-part pay increase for our drivers. The local funding is utilized for $1 per hour across the board increase. And then at the Finance Committee's and comments from this board, we have set up a stair-step increase with our state funding, if you will, to create more of a career pathway. And that would include, for 0 to 2 years of service, an additional 50-cent per hour increase on top of the $1 per hour that you would be receiving. For 3 to 5 years of service, 75 cents per hour on top of the $1 per hour flat increase. And then with 6+ years of service to UCPS, you would receive a $1.25 pay increase on top of the $1 flat. So that could bring overall pay with the increase from 0 to 2 years. The average rate would be almost $14. And then 3 to 5 years, you're looking at $14.27. And then in 6+ years, you could be looking at an average of $16.23. So I just wanted to pull that off. That did come out of finance, and so will not require a second, but I'll make a motion that we adopt the implementation of the bus driver pay increase utilizing local and state funding.
I make the motion. Well, I'm sorry, I seconded it.
Any questions or comments from the board for the Finance Committee? Okay, all those in favor? Say aye. All those opposed? 9-0, thank you.
And just a side note, this will be effective in the October, what's the date of the next payday? October 10th. And the raises will be retroactive back to the beginning of the first start of the fiscal year? Okay.
Thank you. And that brings us to a curriculum committee update with Mr. Raitt.
Okay. The curriculum committee, working with Dr. Jones and his staff, I feel like we have really delivered on some of the things that we wanted to see. You got to see the AP inventory tonight. It was unveiled to us at the curriculum meeting last week. I forgot to ask one point of process, and I was reminded by Ms. Heintel, and Dr. Jones was kind enough to go back and furnish the courses that are offered at each school. And if you don't mind, if you would send those, I know you gave them to us in that brown pack. Did you send them electronically too, Dr. Jones? You know, the AP classes that were offered at each school.
I believe it was only sent to the curriculum committee. If the whole board wants to see that, we can send that to the whole board.
If you would, because I think at that point that with this book, we could, it's going to be my living document. And as far as the digital text, and I asked him today, we now have a person. Would you come up and just tell how we're monitoring this digital text? You can tell them the mechanics of what we put in place.
Another idea from Ms. Garner's office, the administrative assistant in that area, will be monitoring the family portal. So there are other items that she will monitor as well. But certainly some of the buttons that are pushed that give information on the text or take students to the link, we want to make sure that those remain active and live. So she's monitoring those, as well as we have put in a new I guess a button that if somebody needs help, let's say a parent or a student is having difficulty with text, access, concern, immediately populates a field that will go to Ashlyn, the administrative assistant, and then she will contact the administrator in the school. That has been implemented that a parent can actually, or a student can actually type into what's needed.
And if you hear a parent say, I can't find my child's digital text, to the board members or to the audience, please contact Dr. Jones, Ms. Garner, or one of the board members, because it is now, and we will get it to Dr. Jones. It's there, and we want to put this problem behind us and move on to the next one.
And if they use the troubleshooting button as well on the site, we're going to work with the school as that as well.
Right.
That's probably the quickest way as well.
And I believe Tahira has added that to the phone app as well.
Thank you very much. Ms. Stalbert has, yes. She did. That's added to the app.
Yeah.
And as Dr. Jones alluded to earlier, these 4 open houses is what I consider them to be, where you'll be going around.
Yes, sir.
He's going to be trying to show the parents how to launch on this. Do my fellow curriculum committee members, do you have anything else? I'm very excited, and I think the next thing that Dr. Jones, among his many things, is we're going to complete 3rd and 5th grade reading libraries in the elementary schools.
That's the next area that we will look at upon the Literacy for You plan. It's looking at 3 through 5 and their resources.
And to be clear, it's 3 through 3. The board helped to fund classroom libraries for K1 and 2 through our local, our textbook funds.
Yes.
And we need to evaluate 3, 4, 5, but we also need to evaluate middle grades. Dr. Healy is, we typically in education tend to do a lot of work for elementary and a lot of resources at high school, but I always worry about middle school. And so that is going to also, we want to do an audit around their print-rich literacy environments. Physical books and the resources that are in middle school. So that's going to be a next step.
Dr. Jones
We already did the assessment though for 3 through 5 when we did it last year for the K through 2, correct? We did it for the whole elementary school, I thought.
That's correct, in that we use Scholastic with that. So we'll go back, but there may be some changes between last year and this year, some new classes or teachers that have moved, and we'll have to work with principals to make sure that's updated.
I agree that we need to look at middle school too, but I think that the rest of the elementary schools are waiting for the 3 through 5 product too.
Yeah, I agree. As you all know, and we just simply didn't have the funds to do it all for K through 5, and we're looking at a kind of a multi-step implementation plan, but we'll get there. And but yeah, 3 through 5 would be the priority for next year.
I know
this year.
I'm sorry, for this year.
I know you said that we can't buy equipment with our brand new grant, but is that potentially re-equipping a school library something that might be applicable to that grant?
I do not believe so.
No. Okay.
Dr. Houlihan, while we're talking about that 3 through 5 and middle school, which Dr. Jones did tell me today, he was going to try to work up the what you said about the middle schools too. And I said, well, let's go ahead and put the funding for this on our curriculum committee for this month. And so I'm asking you for your permission to instruct him, because I said, let's don't wait till the end of the year, because he was telling me he's got to get vendors in to show his team what they need and start getting prices together. What would be nice now that we know our funding is for y'all to make a choice.
We'll be happy to add that to the next curriculum committee meeting for a topic of discussion. And if any action needs to come out of that, it can come to the full board in November. But we have to identify the funding source, which we have. We have to identify how much money we have available, and then we have to price all this out. And that could take some time. So
that's what I'm asking. Can they be authorized to go ahead and
Absolutely.
do the pricing?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Start that now.
I would like to fast track this just because we can put another thing behind us.
We'll do it.
Thank you, Dr. Jones.
Thank you very much.
That's all, Madam Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll have a facilities committee update from Mrs. Hintel.
Most of the items that we discussed at our last facilities committee meeting were already on the agenda tonight. The Monroe High School and Monroe Middle School architect bids and the ADA projects. These are the second half of the ADA bathrooms that we started last year, and the roof assessment. The other thing that facilities is working on is core capacity. The fire marshal is going to be going around probably beginning in another month or at the end of this month to determine capacities of our cores, which would be gymnasiums, cafeterias, things like that, media centers, things like that. So that's all going on. With respect to the realignment, the Citizens Advisory Committee held their first public input session. It went very well. There was probably about 150 people there. It was formatted so that in the beginning there was a presentation by Matthew Cropper explaining the whole process. And then the committee members and some board members were available in the cafeteria at CATA so that we could answer questions about the maps, and people could talk to the city's Citizens Advisory Committee members about their thoughts about the maps. So I think that went very well. The next meeting is on October 17th at 6 p.m. here at the PDC. Continue sending emails to the realignment at ucps.k12.nc.us. And we're also now using the Let's Talk app, which is an app that we rolled out. And you can continue using both of those. Don't worry if you didn't get a response from it. They're not responding to all the emails, but everybody on the committee gets a copy of all the emails and all the Let's Talk things every month. So before their next meeting, they will have everything, and they'll be able to look through that to determine where they're going. So don't be surprised. The survey, we have a survey going around asking about the 4 draft options, A, B, C, and D. Tonight at 10 o'clock is the end of the survey. So you have a little bit more than an hour and a half to get it in, but everybody should feel free to respond to that. Our next meeting of the Facilities Committee is on Wednesday, October 18th. So mark your calendars, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Have you gotten any feedback from staff or anyone? How is the survey going? Do we know at this point that we're getting a lot of feedback, or do we have a number? There were more than 1,000. Okay, 1,000 surveys, more than 1,000 completed. Thank you. So hour and a half, counting.
So thank you for everyone who responded. It's important if you want to have something to say to go on there and respond.
And I think the key word there is everything is still a draft.
Draft.
And it's very important to either use the realignment email address to get your concerns and wishes on record. And don't be concerned if you don't get a response back, because there's hundreds and hundreds in there. And and use Let's Talk. So good information. I will let you continue, Mrs. Hintel, with a policy committee update.
There's two on the agenda today for review, so I will leave that up to Ms. Morris to discuss that. At the last policy committee meeting, we discussed a sibling policy with respect to siblings at different schools. That is still being worked on and still in committee. We also began the discussion regarding grandfathering. If the new realignment plan is approved, we began the discussion. I want to emphasize that. We are waiting for 20-day numbers to come in, and we're studying the different draft option data so that we can make an informed decision on grandfathering with respect to utilization percentages and all that. So we are still working through that. We will take it up again at our next policy committee meeting. That's all I have on that.
Thank you. And I will turn it over to Mrs. Morris for the policies for review. I move to approve policy, the changes to policy 5-12. It came out of committee, so it doesn't need a second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, that brings us to closed session decisions. Didn't we? Yeah, we had some transfers.
Those don't need to be approved.
They
They're
don't-
already approved and closed.
Okay,
session.
so
No,
nothing else?
nothing that you
Okay,
approved.
thank you, board. Okay, board comments.
I would also like to say that Dr. Houlihan brought up the student at Piedmont High School who passed away earlier in September. I'd also like to send condolences to Mr. Ringerson, who's a member of staff at Sun Valley Middle School, whose daughter passed away on the same day in a car accident. So.
I would like to second the comments Mr. Rape made at the beginning of our meeting and Ms. Heinzel just made. Seems like we're on a tough streak right now, both nationally and locally. Natural disasters, the terrible tragedy in Las Vegas, and here locally, the tragic loss of life of 2 current and 1 former student and child of a UCS parent. It's hard to ever see that there could be any good from these tragic events, but only thing I can think of is that it gives us the opportunity to come together as a nation and as a community to support the families of those that lost loved ones in these terrible tragedies, both natural and man-made. And my deepest sympathies go out to the parents of the students and employee of UCPS that lost their children, and both those that lost loved ones in the natural disasters in Florida and Texas and in Las Vegas. Our thoughts are with you all.
Mrs. Hightail and I attended the District 6 meeting this month with the North Carolina School Board Association. And there was also another award that was very important tonight. And I'm not going to ask everyone to come around to the front, but I will just show you that our Board of Education did receive from the North Carolina School Board the Silver Bell Award for whole board training. So I just want to commend this board. You have worked very hard to get your credit hours, and I look forward to going to the annual conference with several of you in November. I think you'll be able to gain even more valuable information at breakout sessions. If you're able to attend even for just one day or both days, I would really encourage you to try to be there. Had an enormous undertaking this past month, and this board is to be commended for the amount of workload that you have done to help support our superintendent and our cabinet staff. So thank you very much. You are a great board to work with. And I would like to share my condolences with Daniel Hester's mother and father and his big brother. Both boys were phenomenal baseball players in the Piedmont community, and Daniel will be very missed. And I will tell you that this has been very difficult for the Piedmont community to lose a student. And I would also like to send my condolences to the Mr. and Mrs. Ringerson, math teacher, very beloved math teacher at Sun Valley Middle School. But Brianna, their only child, their daughter, was an outstanding student at CATA. She was a graduate from CATA and a great softball player, and just an all-around incredible young woman, and a recent graduate from UNC Charlotte. And just before her death, she had applied for a job with the Matthews Police Department. And unfortunately, they had not been able to share their great news that she would be one of their newest police officers. And the Matthews Police Department presented her mother and father with her badge. So just please keep the Ringerson family, one of our great teachers in our system. Please keep Mr. Ringerson and his wife in your prayers. That's all for me. Okay, that only leaves one more. Let's see. So any announcements?
You go first. Facilities Committee meeting Wednesday, October 18th at 8 a.m. at the PDC. And we're moving the Facilities Committee meeting till now the third Wednesday of every month, because 4 committee meetings in a 3-day span is not a good time.
I think we were all exhausted this month. Any other announcements from other committees?
I can't speak as not being chair of facilities, but just to, Madam Chairwoman, to clear up some transparency among some of our constituents. We have not hired another roofing consultant. McKibben Cropper is 2 different people. And so I just wanted to get that out.
2 different people that work together under one contract.
Right.
That we approved back at this spring.
Exactly.
The Crime Prevention and Sheriff's Office is holding a day of gospel music at Lee Park Church on October the 7th. OT asked me to mention it. He's not here tonight, but he asked me to mention it. And also at Wingate University on the 15th, they're hosting a college fair for UCPS students.
Oh, wow.
So those that are in high school, it will be a great chance to look at colleges near and far.
What date is that?
The 15th.
Thank you.
It starts at 2.
2 p.m.?
Wonderful, thank you. Any other announcements? Okay. Board, that brings
Motion
us.
to adjourn. Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.